1. The ghostly touch of a lost mother. In the midst of a grueling finals week, a college student named Ethan was pushed to the brink of exhaustion. Stress had drained him, and sleep became his only refuge. One night, as he drifted into slumber in his dimly lit dorm room, he found himself locked in the grip of sleep paralysis. His body felt heavy, as if anchored to the bed by invisible chains, and a cold dread settled over him. His eyes darted to the door, where a figure emerged, a woman in a flowing black dress, her movements slow and deliberate. The air grew thick with an unnatural chill as she glided closer, her face obscured by shadow. When she reached his bedside, she leaned forward, her cold fingers brushing his forehead with a tenderness that felt achingly familiar. In that moment, the moonlight revealed her face. It was his mother, who had passed away just 3 weeks earlier in a tragic accident. Ethan's heart pounded as he tried to scream, to reach out, but his body betrayed him. Her eyes, filled with sorrow, locked onto his before she vanished into the darkness. With a gasp, he broke free from the paralysis, bolting upright and calling out for her. Tears streamed down his face as he stumbled into the hallway, where his father, who had been staying nearby to support him, found him. Sobbing, Ethan recounted the vision, only for his father to gently confirm that his mother was indeed gone. The encounter left Ethan shaken, questioning whether it was a hallucination or a final, fleeting visit from the mother he loved. 2. The sinister smile in the closet. For Michael, a young man living with his parents in a quiet suburban home, sleep paralysis turned his bedroom into a stage for terror. One night, he awoke unable to move, his limbs heavy and unresponsive. A faint, rhythmic sound, almost like a low, guttural chuckle, began to fill the room, growing louder with each passing second. His eyes, the only part of him free to move, darted toward his closet, which he always kept tightly shut. To his horror, the door was slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of darkness within. From that crack emerged a face, pale, distorted, and stretched into a grotesque, unnaturally wide smile that seemed to mock his helplessness. With each repetition of the eerie sound, the face appeared closer, its eyes glinting with malice. Michael's heart raced as he willed his body to move, to scream, to do anything, but he was trapped. Just as the face seemed inches from his own, the closet door slammed shut with a deafening bang, and the spell broke. Michael scrambled out of bed, his legs trembling, and fled to his parents' room. They comforted him, explaining that sleep paralysis often conjures vivid hallucinations, but the memory of that sinister smile lingered, making him dread the closet, and sleep itself, for weeks to come. 3. The severed head and the malevolent closet. For Sarah, sleep paralysis was not just a fleeting nightmare but a descent into psychological torment. One night, as she lay in her apartment, she awoke to the familiar sensation of being pinned to her bed, her body unresponsive. A heavy, oppressive presence seemed to emanate from her closet, its door slightly open despite her habit of securing it before bed. The air grew thick, and her heart pounded as she sensed something evil watching her. Suddenly, with a sickening thud, a severed human head landed on her chest. Its lifeless eyes belonged to a girl she had known years ago, a fleeting acquaintance whose face now stared blankly at her. Sarah's mind screamed in protest, but her body remained frozen, unable to push the ghastly vision away. The weight of the head felt real, pressing against her chest as if it belonged to a living nightmare. When the paralysis finally lifted, she bolted upright, gasping for air, her hands frantically checking her chest for any trace of the horror. For weeks afterward, Sarah struggled to trust her senses, waking each morning with a lingering fear that she was still trapped in a dream. The closet, once a mundane part of her room, became a source of dread, its door now triple-checked each night. 4. A giant, weeping family, a chilling premonition. James had experienced sleep paralysis twice before, but nothing prepared him for his third encounter. One night, he awoke immobilized, his bedroom bathed in an eerie, silvery light. At the foot of his bed stood his entire family, his parents, siblings, and even his grandmother, but they were wrong. They towered over him, their forms unnaturally elongated, their faces streaked with tears as they sobbed silently. Their eyes, filled with an unspoken sorrow, fixed on him as they slowly approached, their giant forms looming like specters. Unable to move or speak, James could only watch as they stood over him, their grief palpable, before they turned and vanished into the shadows. Days later, James's life was upended when a speeding car struck him while he was crossing the street. He awoke in a hospital bed, his body battered but alive, surrounded by his family, crying, just as they had in his vision. The scene was identical, their positions, their expressions, the heavy air of worry. Though James had never believed in premonitions, the chilling similarity left him rattled, questioning whether his sleep paralysis had been a warning from some unknown force. The experience haunted him, a reminder that sometimes nightmares carry echoes of reality. 5. The demonic bush creature. After a night of heavy drinking with friends, Alex stumbled home, his mind foggy but his spirits high. Earlier that evening, as the group walked through a park, they had spotted a shadowy figure crouching in a bush, emitting a strange, guttural sound that sent chills down their spines. Laughing it off as a prank, they continued their night. But when Alex fell asleep, the memory of that sound returned to haunt him. He awoke paralyzed, his body locked in place, as the same eerie noise filled his room. His eyes darted to the foot of his bed, where a grotesque, ghost-like figure materialized, a head with hollow eyes and a slack, hanging jaw, its mouth emitting the same guttural sound he had heard in the park. The creature inched closer, its form flickering like a broken projection, the sound growing louder and more menacing. Alex's heart pounded as he fought to break free, his mind screaming that this was no mere hallucination. Just as the figure loomed over him, it vanished, and he jolted awake, drenched in sweat. The terror lingered, convincing him that whatever he had seen, whether a product of his mind or something more sinister, had followed him from that bush into his nightmares. For days, he avoided the park, unable to shake the feeling that the creature was still watching.